All right, today I have a message for you guys. I want to talk about the seven deadly sins in relation to the seven chakras and healing. So, the seven deadly sins, less so in the biblical sense, but more on an energetic level and instructional. So, if you think about each sin not just being an action, but as a distorted energy pattern, and when it's imbalanced, it creates distortion and fragmentation. And then when it's balanced, it creates a virtue. So, what is a virtue? It's moral excellence, ethical principles, life and conduct with the principles of morality. So, if you think about sin being synonymous with a shadow aspect, and representing again imbalance, distortion, and fragmentation, and then virtue representing uh, clarity, alignment, integration with your higher self, your true self, your authentic self, closer to divinity. So think of those two things as opposing forces operating within your energy field, within your energy body. And I think of the chariot. I kind of picture the chariot in the tarot when I think of this, because it represents opposing forces that are needing to be reined in order to move properly. So, same thing with these opposing energies, needing to be balanced in order to flow and have a clear channel. So, we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about each sin, how how it can show up in relationships, and the energetic root, also its virtuous form, and then we'll get into some alchemy on how to um, transform transform these things, and using breath and movement and sound. So and meditation, really. So, what do we have? So, and these aren't in any particular order. I'm not sure if there is a particular order for the seven deadly sins, but so forgive me if they're not in order, but um, we're gonna go through them. And so the first one we have is pride. And pride is associated with the crown chakra, and it has to do with when it's imbalanced, it could look like having an inflated ego, uh, refusal to acknowledge faults, needing to feel superior. Um, and the energetic root for this is it's basically a defense mechanism against feelings of inadequacy. So it stems from pretty much having a low self esteem. It's really loud out there right now. Hang on. So it really stems from having a low or poor self image, not cultivating that within. And in relationships, it can show up as being kind of cold or emotionally distant, avoiding um, avoiding deeper connection, afraid of people seeing behind the mask, feeling difficulty apologizing. If they do apologize, it may be sound like something like, "Oh, I'm sorry you got triggered," or "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry that made you feel this way." It's always something shifting the blame and the accountability. So, um, also controlling the narrative. It could show up as controlling the narrative because, you know, they don't want somebody to see the the true meaning or the true reason why, or somebody getting a glimpse behind their mask or persona, or these are just a few ways it can look in a relationship when somebody has too much pride and that imbalanced or distortion within their crown chakra. So, and then that feeling, that needing to feel superior. So, in its virtuous form, when that's balanced and um, uh, healthy, you have a healthy crown chakra, then it looks like healthy confidence and self respect. Also, an inner worth, like your value, you have inner self worth. It's the opposite of low self esteem. So, we won't get into the alchemy until after we go through each one, but this is just to give you an example a little bit. So, also, before I move on from pride, also it can look like over identifying with self image, over identifying with accomplishments, and feeling like feeling like you need to be super accomplished or do this or do something external to yourself to make you feel like you're worthy of something. And then also having to do with associating too much over association with materialism, materialistic things. Like, for example, um, uh, using money to equate to self-worth. Like, if you don't have a certain amount of money, then you feel like you're not worth something. So it's attaching your self-worth to a monetary value, whatever that looks like personally, you know, whatever that looks like, whatever amount you attach to that. I don't know. But again, the energetic root is a defense mechanism against feelings of inadequacy. So the next one, envy. Envy is associated with the heart chakra, anahata. Um, Pride, the one associated with the crown chakra, is sarasra. I didn't say it because I don't know how to pronounce it. But envy is associated with the heart chakra, and its root form, its energetic root, is a sense of lack. It's believing you can't manifest on your own, and resenting others' success, feeling less than because of someone else. It's comparing and jealousy, bitterness, um, and how it could show up in relationships is it'll look like secret resentment, like harboring resentment towards your partner, um, because of lack, feeling of inadequacy again, and difficulty celebrating partners or friends for their successes, um, maybe comparing yourself to others, and also feeling threatened by others' success. Like, if somebody appears to have more than you, or something that you want, or something that you perceive yourself as lacking, then again, it chips away at your self esteem. It's something external chipping away at your self esteem. So that's how envy looks. And its virtuous form is inspiration and seeing others' success as proof that um, that's something you can achieve too, if that's something you aspire to do or have for yourself. It's seeing is believing type deal. It's like seeing the proof that something is possible without you having done it yourself. And so knowing that you can achieve that as well if you're willing to put in the work or do whatever it is, whatever it's in regards to. Okay, so um, seeing that you can do it yourself too. Yes, that is envy. Also, Okay, so then 3, we have wrath. Wrath has to do with your solar plexus, and it's rage and vengeance, reactivity, aggression. It's hurt that turns outward um, instead of recognizing the root cause of it inward or internally. So its energetic root is unprocessed pain and a lack of emotional regulation. So unprocessed pain from, it could be from your childhood, it could be from anything really that you just buried and never really dealt with. A lot of people don't like to sit with pain. It's uncomfortable, unknowing that that's the root to transformation and integration. And, you know, I don't know if I mentioned it in the beginning, um, but virtue, it's not about moral judgment. It's more so about energetic hygiene and um, maintaining a higher frequency level. When you look at the emotional frequency chart, which I don't have in front of me, but I did look at to see, well, what are the frequencies and what are the lowest emotions and the highest emotions, and those all equate to the chakras as well, and are color coded accordingly. But if you look at the um, the emotional frequency chart, it goes from the high range, the crown chakra range, which is your connection to divinity, is between 700 and 1,000, and those are emotions like bliss, joy, um, love, and authenticity. Authenticity, I often say, is the highest vibrational frequency next to love. So those are going to be your higher vibrational frequencies in the 1,000 ranges. And then when you have your lower vibrational frequencies, it's between 100 and 20 on the lowest scale, which is like, I don't even remember what the lowest one was, but you have, oh, shame. Shame was the lowest one. And it's like 100 to 20 hertz. That's really low vibing. Five of cups energy, 5 of pentacles energy. And, but you also have guilt and fear. So that's why often people use that sliding scale of fear and love, because it really is two opposite extremes on the polarity scale. And so it's not it's not about moral judgment. Again, it's transforming and becoming closer to your truer self, your more authentic self. Pit stop. So, where did we leave off with? We were on wrath, with that rage and vengeance and reactivity. So also too, and I have my last video, I talk about um, being more of an observer and responding instead of reacting. And when you have unchecked rage, or you're reactive, it's very volatile and destructive. And that's another thing too, on these frequency scales. It's you have a destructive force versus a creative energy force. So, and we're creators by nature. We create our reality. We're constantly creating. It's not just being a creative person, although by nature you are creative. You're constantly creating your reality, based off of your level of consciousness and your frequency. So if you're vibing really low and you're in a constant state of fear and shame and lack, um, that 5 of cups, the 5 energy, the energy of 5, which is change and conflict. But in tarot, you know, the Five of Cups is sadness, grief, loss, the opposite of abundance. And then the Five of Swords, you know, it's that ego, that egoic pride, needing to win at all costs, that needing to control the narrative, lying, stealing, cheating, whatever it may be. It all falls along those lines. The Five of Wands, actually fighting petty conflicts and drama, and it's the opposite of harmony. It's chaos. So, and then even the five of I said five of sword, oh, Five of Swords, Five of Pentacles, Five of Cups. Five of Pentacles is really lack as well. It's the opposite of abundance. It's feeling like you don't have enough, and when you're creating from that state, you're just creating that, more of that. So, um, and also when you're in that state, that Five of Swords, that needing to control the narrative, and you know, you can't fake frequency. You know, you can perform, you can act, but you can't fake frequency, and your external reality will always reflect your internal state. So you could say whatever you want, but you know, your actions will always speak first as well. So whatever is done in the dark always comes to light. It's just it's a law. It's a law of reciprocity. I don't know all the laws, but there is the law of reciprocity. And anyway, not to get too far off that, but that's the importance of um, wanting to practice. And that's another thing too. Virtue is, um, it's not about perfection. It's not about um, eradicating the shadow. It's about integrating the shadow, and not it's not achieving perfection. It's a practice. It's what you choose from moment to moment in your everyday life. It's You have a series of choices, and it's like, okay, well, which choose the higher octave. You know, are you going to act in from your wounding, or are you going to act from a higher level of consciousness, from understanding? So that's that is wrath. um, Aggression and hurt that turns outward. So how this could show up in a relationship, getting back on track, is having a short temper, being easily triggered, and passive aggressive, emotionally volatile. So not really having much control of your own over your own emotional state. Again, it's being controlled by external sources instead of having that emotional maturity and emotional regulation, being able to regulate yourself and not be triggered so much by external sources. Um, so there's that. The virtuous form of wrath is righteous courage and passion with, and having strong boundaries, and justice. You know, justice, when you think of justice in the tarot, it's about fairness, balance, reciprocity, equal give and take. um, what's fair, you know? It reminds me of the saying too, do unto others, or yeah, do unto others how you would have done unto you, or treat other let's keep it simple. Treat others how you would want to be treated, you know? So the virtuous form of that, again, righteous courage, channeling that anger, that fire into passion and creativity, really focusing on what it is you want to create, and not having that energy unchecked. And again, that's associated with the solar plexus. All right, so that's three. Four we have sloth. Sloth is associated with your root chakra, Maladhara, and that one has to do with spiritual laziness and avoidance, procrastination. Um, its energetic root is fear of effort, fear of failure, and fear of transformation. So it's just an overall being overtaken by fear, keeping you. I picture the devil in my dragon's deck, where the dragon is chained down, and this one is associated with the root, the lowest chakra. Um, uh, in this depiction of the devil, though, he's in chains, but he's enraged because, and his rage reaches far, but he himself is stuck. Like he can't actually move past that we'll say that level of frequency because of the attachment and the chains he's shackled to. So fear of effort and fear of failure, those are the energetic roots. How it can show up in relationships is avoiding hard conversations. It could look like um, non communication, and then when there is communication, it's like it was avoided. Whatever problem happened, it was avoided, and then a certain amount of time goes by, and you try to come back and say, "Oh, is it fixed yet?" Or is it like expecting that to have gone away? It's it's avoidance. So it could show up as avoiding intimacy, lack of effort, or emotional presence. And this can show up in any type of relationship. This isn't just intimate relationships or romantic. This can show up in any and all. Just really lacking depth and wanting to keep things on a surface level. Again, because not really wanting to, or really, again, having to control a narrative or portray an image, a self-image that maybe not even be that good to begin with, especially if it's lacking any of these virtues and um, direction from a moral standpoint, from a moral compass. So it's really not wanting people to see that lack. And it seems like it would be more like harder, more effort, and more painful and chaotic to withhold a false image than the time it would take to actually cultivate the virtuous form of any of these shadow aspects. So it really is just um, like number four, like sloth, fear of effort, and fear of transformation. So its virtuous form is rest. Think of the Four of Swords in the tarot, or even the Hermit. The Hermit is about going within to actually, um, yeah, the Four of Swords is going within and healing, and then the Hermit is going within to um, find that inner wisdom and then embodying that inner wisdom. So uh, the virtuous form is also, where am I? Stillness, contemplation. Contemplation, that would be the Hermit's energy, as well as the Four Swords. Aligned action rather than performative or chaotic action, frantic action. So you're not leaking a bunch of energy and bouncing around from place to place. It's more um, uh, mindful and deliberate. Oh no. Okay, I ran out of storage again. I had to delete more stuff. Okay, apparently I don't have as much space as I thought. So let's try to get through it kind of fast. We were on sloth and its virtuous form, which is um, aligned action rather than performative. And that goes into what I was saying before, it's much more it seems like much more effort to maintain a performance and have to act instead of actually embodying what it is you're acting. It seems like counterproductive, like a waste of time, instead of putting all that energy and effort into cultivating um, and embodying that inner virtue instead of acting from shadow and fear. It's almost like the same amount of effort, if not more, being put into the shadow aspect instead of healing and transforming um, that that blockage. And again, that blockage is an imbalanced root chakra. All right, so moving on to the next one, we have uh, number 5 is greed. And greed is associated with the sacral chakra, and it has to do with never feeling like you're enough. Again, it links back to that self-worth, and it could show up as hoarding, selfishness, very self-serving, um, excessive materialism. And how this can look in relationship is possessiveness, controlling resources, controlling affection, controlling love, having transactional love, feeling unsafe unless you're in control. These are all ways that greed shows up in a relationship as behavior. And its energetic root is, again, a wounded root chakra having to do with fear of loss, fear of scarcity, and fear of instability. And this is most likely something that's been rooted in childhood or maybe even come in with, but often having to do with how we were raised, maybe not getting the all right, 3 hours later. Somebody does not want this message out. Either that or Mercury retrograde is retrograding. If you only knew the amount of the disturbances. So I had like 30, 40 minutes of recording, an hour total. And the last 30 minutes of it, there was no audio. So I'm picking up where we left off a little more than 3 hours later. I didn't realize it until I uploaded the video. So I'm going to try again because to me, interference means all the more reason to get it out because we slay demons, y'all. So we left off on greed, I believe. um, I don't remember exactly. I know we were finishing up with greed, so I'm just going to go over the virtuous form of it and then move on so that way I know we're not running out of space. I want to wrap this up. So, the virtuous form of greed is stewardship, generosity, abundance consciousness. So, think the Empress in tarot. It's a very abundant energy, and it's a state of mind. It's not something you're seeking externally from yourself. It is genuinely a state of mind and a frequency, and an attitude of gratitude is the quickest way to shift your lack mindset into a mindset of abundance, and that's being grateful for the things that you have. And even if it's consciously having to go down a list of things you're mentally grateful for, and you'll find that you actually do have a lot of things to be grateful for. So, uh, what else did we already get through? And again, that's the wounded root chakra. Um, oops. 6 is gluttony, And gluttony has to do with a blocked solar plexus and or sacral chakra. And it has to do with overconsumption. It could be food, substances, alcohol, distractions, anything that you um, find yourself attached to. Hey, don't you dare! Trying to chew my tree. Um, it's overconsumption of those things. There's attempting to fill, what it is attempting to fill an emotional void, or um, an emotional void with something physical, a physical gratification of something. And the energetic root of that has to do with a lack of emotional or spiritual nourishment. So, again, to me, that ties into, like I had a fur on me, ties into sloth, with that spiritual laziness and lack of effort, or effort, fear of failure, and also greed too. Like, I really had to look up the difference between greed and gluttony, because I thought they would be kind of the same. Like, it seems like it would be the same thing. And in a way it is, except, and it being closely related to some the same chakras, but greed having more to do with material possession, whereas gluttony has to do with consumption. And you got to ask yourself, are you consuming more than you're creating? And do you feel like you have this insatiable desire or urge to have something to feel an emotional void? So the virtuous, or how that can show up, before we get into the virtuous form, how that can show up in a relationship is clinging in a relationship, being extra clingy and emotionally dependent and attached, using others for dopamine hits, using others as a drug. It's quite parasitic if you think about it. It's literally using other people's energy to feed yourself and fulfill whatever emotional void you're trying to fulfill. It's needing constant gratification. So these are just some ways that it could show up in a relationship. Um, the virtuous form for this, for gluttony, is having pleasure in balance and mindful enjoyment, nourishment of the body, mind, and spirit. So actively doing things that feed your soul, feed your, and that reminds me too, it goes back to that scale, that frequency scale of destruction and creation. Are you on the low end of the scale, on the five of cups end of the scale, where it's a destructive energy, not only to yourself and your spirit, but to others around you, like with the five of swords energy? Or are you, choosing things that feed your mind, body, and spirit, whether it be uh, whatever you're programming your mind with, whatever you're listening to and reading, and what you're actually feeding your body, and how you're moving your body, how you're talking to yourself, your inner dialogue, how you're treating others, and how you're showing up. Because um, these are all things that are going to contribute to feeding your soul, giving you that fulfillment, and being mindful of it. Because if you're not appreciative or mindful of it, then you're not going to be able to recognize it anyway. So cultivating a level of mindfulness and recognizing something of value when it's in your face. So, or you'll never, it'll just continue to be a void that you'll never be able to fulfill. And you'll always be looking to external sources, including people. And that means feeding off of somebody else's energy. Um, so again, that's kind of really low on the frequency scale. Um, Number seven, lust. Lust is a big one. It has to do with an imbalanced sacral. I thought that would have to do with an imbalanced root, but it's an imbalanced sacral. I thought that was interesting. And it's an obsessive, it shows up as obsessive desire and using people for gratification, sexuality without connection, and impulse overriding intuition and your higher self. And again, to me, all of these tie into each other, you know, with that obsessive desire, and to me, it ties into that that need for gratification, and um, the avoiding intimacy, because this is like a Knight of Wands energy. And really, too, it could be some of these kings, like the King of Wands in reverse, or even the Emperor in reverse, could exhibit a lot of these characteristics that are would also show up in alignment if to something along the lines of being narcissistic. So, especially somebody who contributes all of these traits, all of these traits could easily be considered somebody who is narcissistic. And I don't like putting labels on people or putting people in boxes, but when you have characteristics that fit perfectly under one box and they fit it, call it what it is. So it's a lot easier than going down all of these energetic roots. But anyway, so lust, again, it also ties into me as well with that gluttony, and using people for that dopamine, that energetic dopamine hit, that Nine of Wands energy, where it's moving from one to the next and not really taking the time to cultivate a deeper level of connection, and really just keeping things surface. And that ties into um, what was our first one, that pride with emotional distance, and you know that feeling threatened when wrong. It's just all ties in together. So the energetic root to that is a craving for connection or validation in the wrong places. So it's like you're craving that connection, and wanting to have that depth but unable to get it, because there's fear, there's an underlying fear there for whatever reason. And again, these are roots that are shadow aspects of ourselves that require healing in order to integrate that shadow and have healthy relationships showing up authentically, and uh, in alignment with our higher selves. So the virtual the virtuous form of lust would be sacred sexuality, you know um, passion, intimacy, creative life force energy. So your creative life force energy. So any yogic practice, or even in qigong, um, your sexual energy, and your sexual energy is your, without getting too graphic, is your life force. And to just expend it, you know non without mindfulness, without connection, for just the purpose of fulfilling a quick need, a quick release, or a quick dopamine hit, without the intention of connection. It's um, it doesn't raise that vibrational frequency. Whereas when you are using your sexuality as sacred sexuality and with purpose, then you're operating from a higher frequency. And again, you're using your life force as a creative force, and creating with the divine. So, um, intimacy, creative life force, and oh, and how that shows up in relationship. I don't know. I don't think we read that. it shows up in the relationship as chemistry overshadowing connection. So again, it's like that chemical reaction you get when you in the beginning of a relationship that's just starting, or you're getting to know somebody. You've got this, you have a chemical attraction. There's interest, there's fun, there's the butterflies, there's everything's new. And instead of, when you have an imbalanced sacral chakra and that fear of intimacy and connection, then once you get past that stage, then you're not capable of building anything else of any substance or depth, because you lack the ability to um, maintain that connection because of the other fear and imbalances and that fear of control, really, or the misconception of loss of control. So it really is uh, shadow, operating from shadow. And until that's fixed, it doesn't matter what relationship you're in. It doesn't matter what relationship you're in. It'll always be surface level. Nobody will be allowed to see underneath the hood. Not like there's anything underneath that you're allowing them, not necessarily cultivating something underneath the hood for them to see if you're lacking any of these virtues. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's like you're trying to hold up an image, or your fear of somebody seeing behind the image, but there's really nothing to protect there, unless you're cultivating something. So anyway, um, those are the seven deadly sins in relation to the chakras. So on an esoteric level, it's a wound. It's basically a wound that corresponds to the chakra imbalance and misdirected desire and energy, and a shadow version of a divine quality. So, and that's really the point of our incarnation here, right? It's coming back to ourselves, remembering who we are and why we're here, and our purpose in life. So um, that's the whole point of transforming these shadow aspects into um, and it's not, again, it's not, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, it's been so long now. So, but a virtue isn't about eradicating the shadow or ignoring it or trying to get rid of it. It's really transformation. It's integration and transformation. So you're literally doing an inner alchemy. That's healing. That's internal healing, self-healing. And that's the whole point of yogic practices and qigong and meditation, is to be able to use these tools, um, these modalities to heal yourself. And most people will just go through the actions, performative actions, without actually internalizing it to their advantage to heal, when in actuality, you know, there's a whole lot of effort and chaos being put toward maintaining a facade, instead of actually taking that energy, harnessing that energy, and using it to sit with yourself and actually integrate these shadows. So it's it's kind of ironic, I guess I want to say. But let's get into some Seether practice and some alchemy on it. I'm going to try to go through this really fast too, because I don't know how much storage I have left. So you can always Google or check out YouTube videos, in-depth videos on any of these particular ones, to see how you can do it, or you can always come back and rewind or pause if you find any value here that helps you. So beginning with pride, using fire and water, because fire, it purifies, it burns away, and water soothes and clears and flows. So Burn the concept of superiority using visualization. Imagine your ego, the shell of your ego cracking, and then water. Allow the water to wash over you like humility. Um, Imagine humility washing over you. As far as movement, bowing motions, bowing meditation, doing spine and upper neck movements, stretches, and then long, slow breaths. Your breaths could be long, slow exhales to soften superiority and open unity. So if you have that in your mind when you're doing any of these meditations, your mantra, I release the need to be what? I release the need to be more. I am already connected. I am already whole. You're whole within yourself. You don't need an external force to make you whole. Number 2, envy. Fire, burn the comparison, visualize it dissolving in green flames. Then bring water, bring compassion to yourself and say, I deserve blessings too. Your movement, do chest opening, heart expansion gestures or outstretched arms while you breathe. Inhale into the back of the heart, exhale the front of the heart. Mantra, their light reminds me of my own. How is it already 20 minutes in? Oh my goodness. Okay, number 3, wrath, solar plexus. So, fire, direct rage into to a creative flame. Let it move, not explode. Cool the heat by letting the emotions move through you like a wave. Movement, stomping, shaking your hands and your arms, punching the air, not the wall, just punch the air, not a person, just the air. um, Breath, sharp exhales like lion's breath, and to discharge the anger. And then your mantra, I am powerful, not explosive. All right, number 4, sloth, fire, ignite purpose, visualize small flame at the tailbone growing. Water, flow gently into motion instead of stagnation. Movement, slow grounding movements, do squats, hip circles, walking barefoot. I love doing squats for grounding. It's like you just feel the weight of your body just sinking into the ground. It's very good for grounding. Breath, deep belly breaths to stabilize the nervous system. In your mantra, I choose presence over avoidance. Number 5, greed. Fire, burn scarcity fears, visualize orange flames clearing them. Water, let abundance flow. Hip swaying, fluid movements. Movement, belly dancing motions, freeing the hips. Didn't write a breath down for that one. I could imagine though belly breaths as well, since it's also yeah, I didn't write a breath down for that one. Anyway, I choose presence over avoidance. Oh well, number 5, greed. Oh, we did greed. Oh, okay. The mantra for greed is I flow with abundance. Nothing is taken from me. Nothing is taken from me. Abundant. That's the thing about abundance and it not being something that you seek. It's something that you open to. Abundance is all around you. It's just opening to it. There's no lack of abundance. um, let's see. 6, gluttony. Burn the craving impulse, redirect the fire into inner passion and creativity. Um, Let the emotion flow rather than stuffing it down. So allow yourself to feel your emotions, sit with it, cry, stretch, and move. I remember the first time I started doing yoga and moving and stretching my body, I would cry every single time. And I thought, what is wrong with me? Why am I crying? That's releasing, that's healing, that's releasing trapped emotions held in your body. Allow yourself to purge that. That's healing. Um, and then the mantra or movement for that is full body rhythmic movements, releasing stored hunger. So, rhythmic movements. And then the breath for that is sipping breaths. And inhale in small sips, and then a long exhale. Mantra, I nourish myself from within. All right. Lust, fire, transform sexual fire into creative fire. Slow water, slow the energy, soothe the sacral, so desire becomes connection. Movement, slow hip circles, pelvic drops, or snake-like motions. And these are all yoga moves too that you can Google and see how to do these accurately. Breath, slow exhales into the pelvis. And your mantra, my desire is sacred and aligned. So that that is our 7 deadly sins associated with in association to each of the 7 chakras. I hope that helps. So I do want to pull a card for you guys. Actually, I pulled one earlier, and of course there was no volume. So, but from my chakra wisdom tarot deck, I had pulled, oh, the devil at the bottom of the deck. Ooh, I had pulled for you guys the high priestess, which is your intuition. It's even though it's your intuition is associated, with your higher chakras, your crown chakra and your third eye. It's this one's yellow, so it was closely related to your solar plexus, and it was perfect because your intuition, as you transform these shadow aspects into their virtuous form, it puts you in alignment with your higher self and in your closer to your divinity. And so that also strengthens your intuition and allows you to have access to higher wisdom and a higher navigational system using your intuition. So, and that's the high priestess energy. But I'm going to go ahead and magician at the bottom of the deck. See what comes out for you guys this time. Thank you, Spirit. What do we have for the collective, for their highest good? That one almost wanted to come out. The Hermit. Okay. And the Three of Swords. Okay, so 2 flew out. Both of them are yellow. Solar plexus energy. We have the Hermit, and we were talking about the Hermit earlier. And the Hermit is really going within, using your external experiences. And um, the Hermit, if you think about the Hermit, he's embodied wisdom. So he's gone into his hermit cave and he's contemplated and thought things through. He's the thinker and has processed every emotion and everything from every which way. And because of that, he's now, is that him? Oh, that's him. He's now the wiser. So the Hermit is your inner wisdom. It is a higher octave. So, and then the Three of Swords is a card of um, heartbreak and also healing. I mean, if you think of these shadow aspects, it's coming from wounding. So that's appropriate that the Three of Swords would come out. But without that wounding, you wouldn't have anything to overcome or heal or transform. And really, that's the purpose of why we're here for. Um, we're having a human experience for the evolution of, our kind, for the evolution of mankind, the evolution of our soul, really, not really mankind, but the evolution of our soul. So it's forgetting in order to remember and come back to ourselves. So the Three of Swords is that wounding, but those swords create light in those wounds in order to heal. And then it does become, if you can incorporate it and heal those wounds, then it becomes embodied wisdom, and you'll be operating from a virtuous form and not from um, your wounded self. All right, so since I have a little bit of time left, I don't know. I'm gonna pull one more card for you guys from um, Work Your Light Oracle, just to leave you with one more bit of wisdom. Thank you, Spirit, for the greatest good. What guidance can we leave the collective with? One card. Oh, Soul Family flew out. You probably can't see that. Soul Family. Call in your soul, call in your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. And I'm going to read this one, but um, when, when you're operating from your highest self, your from authenticity. Again, authenticity is but one of the highest frequencies next to love. When you're operating from your highest self, then you automatically magnetize to you your soul family. It may not always be blood related, because the people we've incarnated with, these are our karmic connections that we've incarnated with in order um, to have the karmic lessons that we need to overcome. And but our soul family is our family that is on a energetic resonance with you. So you're able to magnetize to you who your soul family is, your soul tribe. All right. These don't have numbers on them, so give me a minute. I don't know why these don't have numbers. Give me a minute. I'm gonna action cards. Actually, let me see if it has a page of contents. It does. Okay. Soul Family number 80. I guess that helps too. Let's just go to page 80. And 8, that's manifestation, that's creation. If you think about 8, um, actually 8 in tarot is strength, but 8 is associated with creation. If you think about the infinity symbol, the infinity symbol, it's the symbol of the magician, and the magician creates his reality, has all the tools and to create his reality, like as we do. All right, so 80, and these ones are really short. Call in your soul, call in your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. It's time to call in your soul family and support team. People who get you at a soul level. People who are the same kind of weird as you. People who are your chosen family. They are coming and they are looking for you. If you haven't found them yet, this is a sign that they are close by. But in order for them to find you and recognize you when they do, it is important that you stop dimming your light and truly let yourself be seen. If you have already found them, then you are being called to let them support you and perhaps also assemble a wider support team. Your support team can consist of all types of people, such as therapist, coach, mentor, healer. Tune in to what kind of support you need now. Work your light activation. Call in your support team now. I can completely resonate with that. I'm part of this collective. I am beginning to get my light back and my energy back after it being siphoned for quite some time and dimming my light. So um, I'm already starting to feel the energetic uplift since letting that weight go. And there's nothing left but to rise and be magnetic. And I hope the same for you. So I've already set the intention that this message finds who it needs to find, and I hope this helps. And until then, until next time, keep on rising, y'all.